It was so far beyond what I imagined they would be willing to do for me that I was just really appreciative.
Hello, hosts and travelers. Welcome to the podcast Hosting Your Home. Each week, around the world, millions of guests stay in other people's homes using the Airbnb platform. Debbie Herder looks for stories that come from these connections. Listen in as we hear stories that teach us the human side of hosting your home.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Hosting Your Home. This is Debbie, and today we're going to talk with Nancy Stevens, who is a pet-friendly host in the Portland area. Now, Nancy had a health crisis some months ago, and she describes what happened to her, what happened with the guests that she had scheduled to come in, and how Airbnb stepped in to help. This is really a heartwarming story. I hope that you enjoy it. Also, stick around too, because we talk about what it's like to run a pet-friendly Airbnb, and then later on we talk about some listing tips. So here we go, and like I said, I hope you enjoy it. So Nancy Stevens, thank you for being able and willing to speak with me.
It's fun to meet you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
And I had a chance to listen to your podcast, and like I said, it's really very nice, very chatty. And I listened to the segment introducing you and Rob.
Oh, did you?
And that it's fun to get to know you because I've just seen you in those meetup groups. And by the way, you and Rob do a really nice job with that. I'm a group facilitator, so
are you?
So I'm very sensitive to how people run groups.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not a group facilitator, so I'm just doing this really off the cuff.
By the seat of your pants.
That's exactly it. Yes.
So this is what you're looking at. Here's Portland. Here's the Willamette. So you're looking right down this way, right to Mount St. Helens.
Right to Mount St. Helens. So you can sit out on your front deck in a clear day and see Mount St. Helens.
Can see four mountains.
Okay, so you see Mount St. Helens and Mount Hood. And
Mount Rainier.
Mount Rainier.
And
Mount
Adams.
Adams, okay.
Yeah, Jefferson's a little
down,
too far south.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I call it the Four Mountain, Three River View.
That is beautiful.
Footnote, on a clear day.
On a clear day, yes. Well, we are in Oregon. But you can always see Sauvie Island across there, right? You know, because you're so close. You're just,
we're looking right along here.
Yeah. So your guests actually come in through the slider here on the,
actually,
up the deck?
I invite them through the breezeway because it gives them a semi-private entrance.
I see.
So do you want to come in the way the guests would come?
No, just show me. I'm assuming it's probably right there on the corner here.
Yeah,
so they come
in the breezeway.
So they come in the laundry room, and that's nice. So it's not exactly a private entrance, but it's at least it's not coming into the kitchen.
Well, they can literally come in and go to the stairs and not see me because I'm usually frequenting these rooms in the front of the house.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
So you've got a nice big king bed, and look at that view.
I know, isn't that spectacular?
Wow, what a view to this is as good as being at the coast, you know, and having a view at the ocean. This is really cool. So this is a suite because this is the whole upstairs area, right?
Yeah.
That you're renting out. So you've got the big king room. Looks like a little private deck out there.
Yeah, got a deck out here. And one of the things that I'm surprised the guests don't take more advantage of it, but this is Forest Park back here.
Oh, really?
And so if you continue the road up the hill, you're at Fire Lane 12, and all of Forest Park is right there for you.
Look at that. Oh, that is so amazing.
It is a unique setting, isn't it?
It is. How long have you lived here?
30 years.
Oh, very pretty.
So
I see you've got a sound system, and you know how many people do not put reading lights on each side of the bed? I have run into that 3 times recently, just in the last 3 places I've stayed. Yeah.
Here's the bathroom, private bath.
Oh, look at this. You've got one of the step-in bathtubs.
Yeah.
So nice bathroom and
then a walk-in closet area.
And you do the towels. Good for you. Awesome. This is great. This has lots of space.
Yeah,
and I hear a train.
Yep, there are trains on the other side of US 30 down there. Now, the one thing that I was most concerned about that has turned out not to be an issue, with my guests anyway, is that there's no way to close the room off. There's no door.
Oh, but you've got the whole upstairs, so it's not an issue.
Well, you've got the whole
right?
upstairs, and I am real careful to honor the privacy of my guests. So,
and this is the only space that you're renting, or do you have more? Okay.
And so if there's some reason that I need to come upstairs when there's a guest, I make sure I ask their permission.
Oh, good.
Well, I think the windows, gives it a sense of expansive space.
A stained glass window.
Yeah, that was, Jer and I were fly fishermen.
Really?
And that's our favorite fly fishing spot up in Idaho called Kelly Creek.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool.
So I had that made for him as a birthday.
So I'm here because you mentioned in one of our meetings that you had a really great story, and you told a little bit of your story then, and I'd really like to hear it now and share it with the people who are listening to our podcast.
Well, in one of your podcasts, you talked about why, when you were considering leaving Airbnb, you had gotten a letter from one of the shareholders, and you said, somebody that writes this kind of letter is somebody that I want to affiliate with. And I feel the exact same way from having the experience that I had, is that I was kind of so-so about Airbnb until they stepped up big time when I needed a lot of help.
So how long had you been a host before your?
So I started hosting in October, just a year ago now. And over October, November, February, March, I had approximately a half dozen guests, and I had a positive experience, and I was starting to attend the meetup group and starting to understand my way around, but I thought I was kind of in the middle about, do I want to do this, or, is there a better way for me to spend my days? And end of April, I had 2 guests lined up for the first and the second week of May. One was flying in from Illinois, and another one the second one was driving up from Bend. So end of May, I'm getting ready to, getting the room prepped and all. Well, the Saturday before they arrived, and they were due to arrive on a Wednesday, I had to be taken to the hospital in an ambulance for a major health issue. I usually tell my neighbors when there's going to be somebody new in the neighborhood so that they know what's going on, because since my partner died, they've been kind of looking out for me, taking care of me. Yeah, I've got great neighbors. So I usually let them know what's going on, and in the course of conversation, I'll tell my brothers that I'm having some Airbnb guests, just as some small talk. But I went to the hospital on Saturday, and just for some context, I was unconscious for the next 5 days. Wow. And I had guests coming in on Wednesday. So I have no idea who put the pieces together, who connected the dots, that Nancy's in the hospital, there are guests coming, we got to figure out what to do with this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Now, none of my neighbors, none of my brothers are familiar with Airbnb. I mean, they know of it.
Holy moly!
But they've had no interaction with it. They've not worked with them. And because I was not conscious, I don't know what transpired. But all I know is that early in the week, like Monday or Tuesday, my sister-in-law called up Airbnb and said, "I need your help." My sister-in-law is in the hospital. She has a guest coming in sometime this week. I mean, they didn't even know, she's not going to be able to have those guests. And so you need to help me with this. But whoever she talked to picked up that issue and ran with it. He said, I'll take care of this. Can you give me your phone number? I mean, she didn't even know how I was listed on the site. He said, can you give me your phone number? I'll find her listing and I'll find out what's going on. So she gave him my phone number, and he said, I can see she's got a guest coming in on Wednesday and she's got another one coming in the following Thursday. Do you want me to cancel these reservations? And she says, well, yes.
Yeah.
She can't host that week. He said, I'll take care of it. They got in touch with the two guests that were scheduled in May. They found them other accommodations. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, one of them was coming in just a couple of days, mm-hmm. So I don't know how they worked with them, but they were able to find both guests other accommodations, and they were able to block my calendar for the month so that I didn't have any other bookings. When I came back up on Airbnb, hosting again, mm-hmm. I thought, oh man, I got some major dings here for cancellation. I mean, they essentially wiped all of that out. I mean, they didn't give me any dings for having canceled. I forget what all the background stuff was, some calls that I had gotten. They removed them from my being non-responsive. They just really cleaned up any of the metrics that would have counted against me.
You're still eligible for your superhost status. Mm-hmm. And
long story short, I got back from the hospital 2 weeks later or so, and one of the things that I really wanted to do, even though I wasn't in very good shape, but I wanted to contact both of these guests and apologize for making some very short last-minute changes to the reservation, because I take this pretty seriously, and to stand somebody up a couple of days before they're flying in from Illinois is really not something that I want to, be associated with. So I wrote both of them separately, and I gave them some basic information. I told them, first of all, I apologized. I said, I've been in the hospital for 2 weeks. I can't tell you how much I regret not being able to be there and host you. I said, and I don't know what other arrangements were made from you, but I hope you will accept my apology, and I hope that if you ever come to Portland again, you think about staying here, because I will give you the room for as long as you want it, free of charge.
Nancy, wow.
Well, I mean, to stand somebody up like that, I mean, even if it wasn't voluntary, is really a major inconvenience. And so both of them wrote back, first of all, accepted my apology. They said the Airbnb staff were just wonderful. Mm. They said they contacted us, they let us know what was going on, they found us other accommodations, and we didn't miss a beat. Both of them said that.
That's wonderful.
And they said, yes, if we're ever in Portland again, we will look you up, because we'd love to have a chance to meet you and stay at your place. Well, I mean, this is right in line with what you were saying about the co-owner. I mean, these are people that have hearts. And, and I'm willing to work with somebody that shares values that are similar to mine. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to share that information with the other hosts, mm-hmm. That if they're ever in a situation, that don't hesitate to call on Airbnb, because they'll make it good. And I've picked up from the meetings that the Airbnb staff really want to back up their hosts. And and I heard that at the meetings, but boy, having a firsthand experience like this was golden. I mean, it was so far beyond what I imagined they would be willing to do for me that I was just really appreciative.
That's really phenomenal. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm. So, I've just shared that with anybody who's interested in hearing it.
You're still hosting.
And I'm still hosting. I came back up in the end of July, and I'm still hosting, and I've got somebody coming in tomorrow and somebody coming in middle of the month or something. So, yeah, I'm up and running again, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, oh, that's wonderful. There's a question I forgot to ask you, and that's why you started doing this.
Well, as I mentioned to you earlier, my partner died about a year ago, early 2015. And I knew that I had to start getting out and getting involved in other activities. And somebody had visited me and said, oh, this would be a perfect place for Airbnb. And I had heard about Airbnb, but I had never really thought about doing it. So I walked around the house and said, so what would I do here and what would I do here? And I've really enjoyed it. It's been wonderful having different kinds of energy come through the house. Now that I'm living by myself, it can get pretty quiet and pretty lonely here. But, every once in a while somebody pops up on the computer and says, hey, I'm going to be in Portland. Can I come by your house? And particularly if they have a dog, I say, sure.
Yeah, that makes you happy with the animals probably more than the people.
as much. Anyway.
As much, okay.
Yeah, that's... What's the difference between residential and hospitality cleaning?
There's actually quite a bit of difference.
I could tell the way they were written, differentiating.
Residential cleaning are those people that will come in and clean what they see, basically. They'll wipe off your counters, they'll do your floors, some of them will do baseboards, they'll do the bathroom.
So anything that's visible, they won't go into anything else.
They will not go into anything private. So they'll stay out of your refrigerator. They may or may not go into your bed. They would never open any drawers.
Oh, interesting.
They would never open any cabinets. That's the biggest difference, because you have supplies that you need to have replenished. Mm-hmm. You want the drawers to be cleaned out. I mean, I had a guest tell me not too long ago that one of the first things she does when she rents a place is she goes and opens the silverware drawer, because if there's coffee grounds in the silverware drawer, she gets wigged out.
Oh, really?
And I'm thinking, okay, well, I probably always have coffee grounds in my
I've got something in my drawers.
So that's one of the things that I've talked to my cleaning ladies about. I need for you to open the bedside tables, make sure that there's no glasses or
dust
or condoms or
one of the things that's nice about having folks that come here because they have pets is that they tend to be fairly tolerant of lots of dust bunnies and things.
Yes, and I actually have had people tell me that they find that people with pets are much easier to get along with than people with children. Mm-hmm. Because there's so much more with kids than there is with pets.
Well, I tell them as soon as I meet them, I say, now look, this isn't going to be a sparkling place because I have a lot of dogs that come through. I'm a foster parent for Golden Bond Rescue. Oh. And so I never know if I'm going to have pets here or not. Uh-huh. And when I do have pets, they're fosters, so they may have all kinds of behavioral issues. I
see, yes.
And so I'm real upfront with people, particularly when I know that there's one down the road that I may or may not foster. I say, look, I got to tell you that I may have a dog. And if you bring a dog and I have a dog, we're going to have to be real diligent in terms of how we keep them.
Yeah, because you don't have a gate at the bottom of your stairs either.
Not from the upstairs, no.
But downstairs you do?
You mean the stairs leading to the patio?
Or going up to your suite?
Oh, I do have a dog gate.
I see.
Yeah,
There it is. Okay.
And with all of my pets, I crate them at night.
Okay.
You'll see on my site that I've told people that if they have a pet and they leave the house without taking the pet must be crated.
Good.
Or stay out in the backyard. They're able to do that. But for the most part, if somebody travels with a dog, they know that dog has to be on a leash. They know that it can't just be running about. And I've had no problems with any of my guests. But what I was leading up to was I tell people that I'm fostering dogs, and I said, now you've got to be aware that dog hair is a condiment in my house.
It's so cute.
And all of them say, oh, my house too.
Yeah.
So dog owners really are a special breed, and I've really enjoyed the guests I've had that come with pets because they are very accommodating. They really don't want to make any uncomfortable situation because of their pets, and so they really do bend over backwards to make sure their dogs stay upstairs, to make sure they don't run downstairs, and it's been a very positive experience.
Great. Are you a superhost?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, interestingly enough, I've gotten some lower ratings because of location. And some of my guests who have gotten lost up here as a result of GPS have, justifiably rated me lower because they couldn't find my place. So no, I'm not a super host.
But if it's location that is making your reviews less, then I've got a solution for you. When you get a reservation from a guest, ask them for their email address.
You mean their outside Airbnb email?
Yes. And then on your computer, create super detailed instructions about how to get here. And then email it to them before they arrive.
Oh, I've been sending them, I've been mapping on either Google Maps or MapQuest detailed instructions how to get to my place, and then I've been embedding it in my Airbnb messages, but it has interfered with my being able to send the message because I've got a URL embedded in the message.
Yes. One of our beach properties is not, you can't locate it with GPS.
Yeah.
And so Rob has put at the top of the directions, do not use your GPS. Follow these directions and keep them with you.
And he's got it written out step by step.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do that. So, that's a
get
great
their
suggestion.
email address.
Okay.
And not only that, but when you get your guest's email address, you then can interact with them outside of the platform. And for the most part, I don't recommend that you do that when they're staying with you, because if anything does happen, then
you want to go through Airbnb.
Has that record. But there's something in town that you think that they might be interested in, or if, just for some reason that you may want to market it, say Airbnb may take you off of their platform for some reason or another.
You want to be able to reach them.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out
it makes you independent, and that's a good thing.
It turns out with a lot of my guests, we've exchanged business cards, so I do have access to their emails, but I had never thought about that in terms of making sure they can find the place.
Yeah, I send all of my arrival stuff outside of the platform because it completely messes up the formatting.
Well, were you going to say something about aspiring to super host status? I mean,
so there's some things about being a superhost that I think are good, and one of them is that there's a filter on the app, so
I saw
that someone can, and that's what I do when I travel. I will filter by superhosts because those are the people I want to connect with. I want to connect with the people that I know are really, really energetic and involved in what they're doing. I know I'm going to get a much better experience with a superhost. So that's one thing that will bring you farther up in the search. And the other thing is that every now and then there's some cool little extras that come with it. Like I got a free king-size mattress through Tuft & Needle, who will give you a mattress if you're a superhost.
Really?
And there's a link that they'll send you to apply for the mattress that includes a link to your Airbnb listing so they can double check and make sure.
I heard about that in one of the meetings, and I thought, how do you get a free mattress?
Yeah, did it.
Wow.
And it's a really nice mattress. It's an $800 or $900 value.
Wow.
And
speaking of filters, being a pet-friendly house, almost all of my guests have come here with pets. Now, I did have to clarify that it's dogs only because somebody wanted to come with like 4 cats or something.
Oh,
and I said, I'm sorry I wasn't clear that this is a dog-friendly house, not a pet-friendly house.
Is there a block that you check on the Airbnb platform for that?
And it reads pet-friendly.
Okay, so you can filter by that.
Yeah, you can filter.
Good.
And that's how almost all of my guests, that's how I rose to the top, was being pet-friendly. So that they knew that there'd be a fenced-in yard, and that's what they were looking for. I had one woman here who was attending a class. She was from Seattle and attending a class down here at the Oregon Humane Society. And
perfect.
Yeah. And it was during August, so it was hot, and she didn't want to leave the dog in the car. And I said, "You're welcome to leave the dog here." I said, either out in the backyard or you can keep him. I'll keep him in the house and crate him. And so she crated him. The dog was well behaved and comfortable in the crate. And so I just let the dog stay in the crate. It wasn't like I was dog sitting. Right. And she was very accommodating and appreciative of that. So. But like I said, the dog owners are usually very, very courteous, very sensitive to making sure they don't interfere with things the way they are. I had one couple from British Columbia that had a Lab Golden mix. And at the time, I did have a foster dog, and the two of them just loved playing around. But they arrived one night, and the dogs got along beautifully. And so after that, I'm blanking on his name. What was his name? Anyway, he thought he had the full run of the house. So first thing in the morning, he'd come downstairs and come around to my bedroom and get me up. And, of course, the owners were just so embarrassed that their dog would come down again. I said it was wonderful to have a dog, just putting his head on my mattress and looking me in the eyes first thing in the morning. I said it was a nice wake up to have.
How do you manage the food situation with your guests?
What do you mean?
Do they have access to your kitchen, or do you feed them, or how do you do that? What are your house rules?
I make coffee, and I have juice or fruit, and then I've got some oatmeal biscuits that I have sitting out if they want to have just a little nibble to eat. I don't assume that I'm going to be serving them breakfast. So I make that available to them first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the time I just let them know that they're free to use the kitchen, any of the common space, the dining room, living room, the sunroom. And most of the guests haven't used the kitchen. I did have one guest that was actually job hunting up here, and so as a couple they weren't going out, they weren't out to see the town, they were focused on a job search, and so they did almost all their cooking of all their meals here, and I let them know what utensils and things were available to them. I'm pretty open with that, and they prepared all their own meals, and they did a really nice job of cleaning up after themselves.
Wonderful.
So I just make a morning kind of snack available to them, and then the rest of the day they're on their own.
Do you have your own office or something where you go for your own private space when they're...
Yeah, I've mentioned to them that my bedroom and my office space is off limits, but that the rest of the house is open to them. And it turns out that most of them don't take advantage of that.
Right.
Very few of them even come down to watch television. I think most people come here to have the experience of visiting Portland. And by the time they drag themselves into the house, they're ready to drop and renew themselves and get up and go the next morning.
Yeah. And if they want to watch something, they could do it upstairs on their device. Right?
Yeah. Having their own personal devices has made it less onerous to feel like they're going to come downstairs and watch.
Well, I think if I was here staying with you, I would want to cook for you too. I'd want to just this is such a nice, warm, friendly place.
Oh, well, thanks.
It reflects you. You are that way too. Nancy is so sweet. About halfway through our conversation, I realized that she was identifying her guests by their pets. Isn't that cool? I also wanted to offer a little bit of clarification on the Tuft & Needle Superhost program. We'll have a link to the Tuft & Needle site on our website. Basically, the way this works is you send them an email and you apply for the mattress, and you offer a link to your listing site so that they can check that you're a superhost. And then you'll be put on a wait list. And my understanding is right now their wait list is up to April of 2017. They send out 30 mattresses a month. So anyway, they're great mattresses, and at some point in the future, I want to have them on the air here too and interview them about this program. This is something that they've been doing for quite some time, and I know that every host I know that has one of their mattresses appreciates it very much. So I hope you got some takeaways from this. If nothing else, you learned about how Airbnb does have your back and can do things to help you out when you're in a bind. And also, hopefully you got something out of the listing tips that we shared as well. You can subscribe to our podcast at hostingyourhome.com. And if you do subscribe, then Rob will send you a little newsletter so you get an advance of when the podcast goes out. You can also find us on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play. We also have a Facebook page and we have a Facebook group. We love to hear from you. Leave us a comment, send us an email, make suggestions, tell us if you've got a great story, and we would just love to hear from you. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.